Welcome to the World Financial Symposium's Market Spotlight webcast series. Today's conference will start in a moment. The WFS is dedicated to educating technology leaders through webcasts like these and the Growth and Exit Strategies Conference Series held in London, New York, Silicon Valley, and other tech and financial centers around the world. The speakers and sponsors of these live events read like a who's who of industry leaders. To learn more about our live events for CEOs, owners, and investors, or to access our library of on-demand Spotlight webcasts covering markets like IT security, health tech, gaming, and more, please visit WFS.com. And now, let's join today's Market Spotlight webcast.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Market Spotlights, brought to you by World Financial Symposiums. My name's Martin Lowry, and I'll be moderating today's event. Thanks for joining us for this exclusive Market Spotlight on IT services. We have a packed agenda. Firstly, I'd like to set the stage for our discussion, then we'll review the IT services tech M&A activity with the Quorum research team. After that, we'll have a brief discussion for the CEOs listening in on how to survive due diligence during a tech M&A exit. Lastly, we'll turn to our IT services panel with industry luminaries Keith Parent, owner of Court Square Group, and Dieter Gabel, CEO of Technical and Business Consulting, LLC. So let's get started. As a senior deal maker at the Quorum Group, I'm no stranger to the IT services world, and I'm actively engaged with 4 companies that span all varieties of IT services, from cloud migration and data integration to managed service providers for state and local government. Quorum has done a number of deals in this space. In the tombstones you've seen here, Quorum was the sell-side advisor for each of the selling companies. This is just a sample. The walls at Quorum HQ are literally lined with hundreds of tombstones marking the successful exit of software and IT services companies. I'm really excited by the volume of transactions taking place in the IT services sector over the past couple of years. With cash in the hands of acquirers, demand is high. The rapid transition from on-premises to cloud computing solutions has resulted in a multitude of high-complexity hybrid computing environments, and this in turn is driving the need for data integration and infrastructure services like networking and security. Of course, each vertical market, like biotech, healthcare, and financial services, has its own regulatory environment, and contrary to what you hear from federal government, it's not getting any simpler. Combine that with the pace of regulatory change, and complexity and demand for domain expertise is skyrocketing. Then there are the private equity companies. They are loaded up with cash as investors look for higher returns outside of the traditional equity and bond markets. There are a number of private equity companies that are actively rolling up IT services companies. Some are industry vertical specific and some geographic, all of them looking for scale and expertise in an ever-tightening employment market. Specialization is the fastest path to premium valuations in this space. There's immediate demand for companies that have expertise in emerging technology like blockchain, robotic process automation, full-stack applications, structured and unstructured data, AI, IoT, and business analytics. But demand is also high for integrators with focused expertise in complex ecosystems like Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, cloud computing environments like AWS and Azure, SAP and Oracle, and in key sectors such as financial services, manufacturing, and healthcare. Quorum has been emphasizing the focused IT sector as one of its top 10 disruptive trends for the past couple of years, and we expect this to continue well into 2020. Now let's head over to the Quorum research team to dive into the tech M&A activity in this space.
Thanks, Martin. Looking at valuation multiples, we saw both sales and EBITDA metrics in the developed IT services market continue their upward trend after falling slightly over the summer. In the emerging IT services market, we saw the opposite, with sales multiples dropping from 3.68 to 3.13, but EBITDA metrics holding steady near 18. Moving on to M&A activity, you can see that, globally, deal volume is projected to stay relatively steady compared to levels in 2015. Deal value in the IT services space has been much more volatile. Deal value is projected to hit just over $29 billion this year, significantly down from $50 billion in 2018, but still up 50% when compared to 2015 levels. Looking at the top strategic acquirers, Accenture is way in front of the pack, completing exactly 40 deals. Deloitte and DXC Technology are tied for second, with 11 acquisitions each. Konica Minolta, Converge, Convergent, and new MSAP also made it to the top acquirers list with 6 or more IT acquisitions each. There's been plenty of mega deals over $1 billion in this space. The largest was Capgemini's acquisition of Altran for approximately $4 billion and 1.6 times revenue. Altran provides outsourced mechanical engineering, product development, and related design consulting services for businesses globally. Another deal of note was the acquisition of Anixter, a leading distributor of network security and electrical and utility power products and services. Anixter was acquired by private equity firm Clayton, Dubilier & Rice for $3.8 billion and 0.44 times revenue. Also, Hitachi acquired JR Automation, a provider of automated and robotic manufacturing systems, manufacturing, and related services, for $1.4 billion and 2.38 times revenue. With the acquisition, Hitachi will enter the robotic SI business in North America. The acquisition of JR Automation brings a host of complementary assets that will fit well with other recent Hitachi acquisitions, including Lumada, KEC Corporation, and Solaire. Other key transactions include Perspectus' $250 million acquisition of NightPoint, which provides systems integration, colocation, managed hosting, and managed security services in the private and public sectors. Insight snatched up PCM, a provider of IT and managed hosting services, for $429 million. Orange SA completed a transaction to acquire SecureLink for $577 million, a provider of cybersecurity infrastructure and managed services for business in Europe. CGI Group scooped up Acondo, a provider of systems integration and IT consulting services for business in Scandinavia. LGS Innovations, a provider of network and systems integration, support, and other IT services for the U.S. government, was picked up by CACI International for $750 million. The acquisition is complementary and additive to CACI's signals intelligence, electronic warfare, and cybersecurity operations offerings. And, lastly, WEX pocketed Discovery Benefits, a provider of employee benefits administration services, for $425 million.
Great work. Thanks to Matt Haberlach and the Quorum research team. Now I'd like to turn it over to Winston to talk about how to survive due diligence during a tech M&A exit in this space. If you're an IT services CEO or founder, listen closely.
Due diligence is a key stage for financing and tech M&A transactions alike, yet it is often a misunderstood process. It is more than a document review game played by lawyers and accountants. It's an extremely involved and complicated process where every aspect of your company is placed under a microscope. And you, as CEO, are a key part of it. You need to be prepared, or you won't survive due diligence, and the deal will die. So, even if you aren't contemplating an M&A exit now, pay attention. As the saying goes, nothing good ever happens in due diligence. Here's 12 steps to help you survive. Number 1. Understand the buyer due diligence checklist. This is the document they will use to comprehend all aspects of your business before final purchase. It will list all the information that needs to be produced. Know what will be on it. We can supply sample lists. Number 2. Prepare your data room in advance. Get all your critical documentation securely stored in a place where you can give potential buyers appropriate, managed access. Being able to respond to buyers' inquiries professionally is critical and reflects on you and how well you run the business. Done right, it reinforces trust. Number 3. Deal with accounting problems ahead of time. Most buyers hire an independent accounting firm to review the books and records. Buyers will prefer accrual accounting with revenue recognized over the period of time it is earned. And most buyers prefer pro forma statements without capitalization. Number 4. Control the timing of disclosures. It's best to get issues out early in the process, when you've got the most leverage. It's a full disclosure process, and exposing issues late hurts trust. Limit the buyer's access to only a few staff members deemed critical to the effort. Number 5. Run a parallel due diligence final agreement process. After signing the letter of intent, you will begin 2 parallel processes. The first is due diligence about all aspects of the business, financials, ownership, etc. The second is preparation of the definitive merger, acquisition, or investment agreement. Information discovered about the company during due diligence will affect the contract, such as escrows, liability carve-outs, etc., and adjustments to price or deal structure. Number 6. Get a draft agreement within 2 weeks. The buyer and their lawyers produce the purchase agreement. The first drafts should be issued as quickly as possible. It's important to know what additional opinions, addendums, and schedules will be required by their attorneys. If these are asked for late in the process, it can create delays, extra expenses, and more stress. Number 7. Appoint a due diligence coordinator. It is tempting for you as CEO to personally control production of the due diligence documents, but you have a company to run and you may be negotiating with your future boss. So consider appointing a trusted, responsible coordinator, even if it's just an associate from an accounting firm. Number 8. Inform key employees only. Confidentiality is critical. Only inform employees involved in the due diligence process, like the CFO and CTO. The problem is, without all the details ironed out, employees can quickly develop concerns, worrying about their future and what they'll get out of the deal. Number 9. Watch working capital. Buyers will want the cash that's on your balance sheet and from receivables. Working capital is a moving target, so keep a close eye on it. A clear understanding of this early will avoid last-minute drama. Number 10. Use your accountants effectively. Deploy your accountant before the due diligence process begins. If there are policy concerns or expected quality of revenue issues, be ready to answer. Your accountants need to be prepared so they can respond to buyer requests quickly and avoid creating delays. Number 11. Use your lawyers effectively. Don't hire the guy you went to school with or your neighbor. You need a tech M&A specialist who has plenty of deal experience, especially with IP. The toughest, most stressful negotiations are about post-transaction liabilities specific to our industry. These come in the last mile of due diligence and contract preparation and can be very stressful if you don't have a pro on your side. Number 12. Use your intermediaries effectively. Who you choose to guide you through the most important transaction of your life is crucial, starting with proper preparation, positioning, buyer research, and document production, allowing you to focus on running your business. They know the buyers and what they want, how to value, structure, and negotiate with them to create an auction environment for an optimal outcome. Just as important, they know how to get you through due diligence, the contract phase where too many deals die. They know the buyer tactics used during due diligence to lower the value. This is where experience really makes a difference.
Thanks, Woodson. Some great points there, and so crucial to a founder or executive of an IT services company. Now let's go to our panel of industry luminaries and get some perspective for those people in the know on what's happening in the IT services world. We have as our guest today Keith Parent, owner of Court Square Group, and Dieter Gabel, CEO of Technical and Business Consulting, LLC. Keith, let's start with you. Give us a quick overview of what your company does.
So we are a managed service firm. Specifically, we manage infrastructure for life science companies. We include pharmaceutical, biotech, and med device companies in that, although we are also doing some HIPAA-compliant companies when we're doing clinical trials, so there's some crossover. We have an audit-ready, compliant cloud environment to host validated applications, and we specialize in integrating multiple applications together in those environments. We try to help companies specifically that need to go from preclinical into clinical, that didn't have many regulations and then have to kind of put in all those regulations. I have a quality department, a managed service department, and my application support department. All of them are work together seamlessly with our clients to either work with their environments or to work with their applications in our environments. And we help to get those applications FDA ready as soon as possible.
And how do you see customer demands and expectations changing within IT services?
Well, from what we see working with our customers, people want to go much faster when it comes to implementation and getting things up and running. Our goal is to have things up and running in a matter of a few weeks as opposed to months. Particularly in the regulated space, it takes forever for some of these companies to get things going, where we can put in pre-validated and pre-qualified environments and get applications up and running, and then it's really just the integration aspect of those applications. I think people will always be pushing on price, but we're trying to get the price down as much as possible, but still make it our entire environment and solutions regulatory compliant.
And what kind of tech is emerging to meet these new demands?
Well, I think in the life science world, what I see is a big push toward using some of the public cloud environments, but we still need to be compliant. We need to have a lot of provisions around compliance. So we take a hybrid approach between using both the public cloud environments and our private cloud environments and kind of putting together that hybrid approach working with our clients. That's a big push that we're into.
What about consolidation? Who's buying and who's selling IT services firms?
Well, we see a lot of the large contract research organizations, the CROs, and a lot of the big service firms buying up some of the technology companies or software firms that are out there that really have a either software or a range of services that augment their portfolio of services. I also see a trend where maybe horizontally managed service providers looking to try to get into a vertical market focus. I think on the selling side, it's still looking toward trying to stay focused on companies in your particular sector or expanding your sector with people that really understand that environment.
Okay, let's talk about the future. What does the future of IT services look like?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot more integration between multiple applications out there. I mean, it's always about change, right? We're trying to pull multiple things together. People are trying to use technologies. The techniques that the FDA is trying to push on some of the sponsor companies with adaptive trials between umbrella trials and basket trials and platform trials. I think using technology to its fullest to help enable those types of trials will be huge and continue to be trends for us.
Thanks, Keith. Dieter, I'd like to turn it over to you. Similar set of questions. First off, what's TBC all about?
TBC helps companies transform and grow by taking care of the mundane exceptionally. This means taking over the day-to-day, keep the lights on work that generally distracts IT departments from completing strategic initiatives. TBC has demonstrated results across nearly all industries, with clients achieving unmatched returns on their investment.
Same questions I posed to Keith. How are customer demands and expectations changing in IT services?
Customer demands are increasing daily in every industry we know. We all expect things to be faster, better, and more affordable, and heavily customized to our needs. IT is no different. The complicating factor in IT is the technology sprawl caused by many IT departments not meeting business demands. This results in the business side of a company launching their own mini IT initiatives, which, when decoupled from an enterprise-level IT strategy, will cause unbelievable downstream impacts.
And what kind of tech is on the rise to meet those demands?
Unfortunate for IT departments and service providers, many software offerings have sprung up to address slow IT responsiveness. If the IT group doesn't want to roll out a new database or capability, the business users are trained by today's marketplace to think, there is an app for that, and there probably is. If that is secure, what the platform might be doing with your data, and what the impacts are downstream, well, that's for another day. Unfortunately, that means unless IT has a firm grasp on the architecture, is responsive and works closely with the business, the disaster is in the making, and it is just a matter of time before that all comes back to haunt the business.
What about M&A? What do you see with consolidation of IT services?
The consolidation is dramatic and ongoing. There's an incredible amount of innovation happening every day. New technologies, new methodologies, new automation, you name it. Many times there are multiple approaches being developed for the same problem, and competing vendors snatch up these startups long before the product is ready and certainly not mature. All this in the hopes of not being left behind. Industry wastes money on hopeful acquisitions every day. The good news is all this buying is driving an immense amount of capital towards all kinds of innovation.
And what about the future of IT services?
IT services are likely to continue to be consolidated. The raised floor server room was a source of pride for companies 20 years ago. Now it is a money pit that can no longer be justified by nearly anyone. Even if a company needs to host their own equipment, they will move to a co-location configuration. More likely, they will pursue a private or public cloud offered by a services partner who can deliver to specified outcomes. Attempting to DIY IT these days is an extraordinarily wasteful initiative given the complexities of the technology and the incredible speed of change demanded by business users.
Great. And now I have another question for both of you. What advice do you have for CEOs on this call who are considering selling their company, or for potential buyers looking to acquire an IT services company?
Well, I think the biggest advice that I would have is to look at who the acquiring company is and what their overall strategy is going to be. How are you actually going to be able to fit into what they're looking to do? I think the big part of dealing with an acquisition, making sure you've got a strategic footprint in the growth of the company going forward so that you can be part of that growth.
Dieter, what are your thoughts?
For anyone looking to sell their IT services company, one needs to get their processes and technology shored up. This is because you have to be certain that the product you're selling is well shored up by what technology you use and the processes are documented to support solid operations. The third leg of the stool, looked at beyond the technology and processes, are people. The hope would be that the people side is more readily taken care of with good retention programs and something that will assure longevity of the enterprise. There is literally no excuse for providing client advice on how they should be shored up and not reflect that 100% in your own business.
And lastly, to go along with our theme today, any words of wisdom for our listeners on preparing for due diligence in IT services?
Reflecting on the prior answer about making sure technology and especially processes are shored up, the due diligence phase is very straightforward. There's no way to bluff any serious buyer during due diligence. Being upfront about what is documented, and this being solidly coupled with an honest discussion of where there are known gaps, will build unbelievable credibility. If the thought is honesty will scare away the buyer, or that one hopes to hide something, then I would suggest that either is an outright gamble or an invitation to long-term issues, including legal consequences. Companies with solid processes that are truly ingrained will continue to be heavily sought after in the IT services space.
Excellent. Thanks to Keith and Dieter for joining us and sharing their insights. Great discussion. I'd like to close things out with a few key takeaways from today's Market Spotlight. 1. Specialization is the key to a high valuation for an IT services company. 2. Take advantage of the transition to cloud computing. 3. Adjust your business model to have as much recurring revenue as possible. 4. Growth, EBITDA, and utilization rate are key metrics in driving valuations for IT services companies. And 5, you don't have to be a 20 million plus revenue business to be an attractive acquisition in today's market, as acquirers are seeking out targets earlier and earlier in their life cycles. That's it for today's Market Spotlight. We'll see you next time. Let's go to our close.
We hope you enjoyed today's online symposium. If you have any questions not answered, please submit them to info@wfs.com. We look forward to seeing you at one of our upcoming live events in a city near you. To register for these live events, view upcoming webcast topics, or hear rebroadcasts of this or other Market Spotlight events, please go to wfs.com. Thank you for attending today's webcast.